Hello, Sonia here and welcome back to my channel Grammar Forward. In this series on parts of speech, today we are going to take up the seventh part of speech called conjunctions. If you haven't watched the videos on the other parts of speech, please do check them out. I will leave the link in the description below. So what are conjunctions? Conjunctions are words that join other words, phrases, or clauses. Imagine saying something like, my friends came to the party, my relatives came to the party. You heard how words are being repeated unnecessarily. It would sound way too better if you said, my friends and relatives came to the party. Thus, in this case, the small word and did the trick. Thus, conjunctions allow you to form complex, elegant sentences and help you to avoid using multiple short sentences. There are three distinct types of conjunctions, namely coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, and correlative conjunctions. Let's focus on coordinating conjunctions first. Coordinating conjunctions are used to link items that are grammatically equal. These items may be two words, two phrases, or even two independent clauses. Thus, a coordinating conjunction shows that the two elements it joins are similar in importance and structure. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions, and you can easily remember them using the mnemonic device fanboys. A coordinating conjunction is always placed in between the two items it links together. As I mentioned before, coordinating conjunctions can join two words, and these words may be two nouns. For example, Nadia is good at English and French. In this case, you have two nouns, English and French, being joined with the help of a conjunction and. Such a conjunction may also join two verbs. Thus, in this example, he studied well but failed in the test. You have the verbs studied and failed being linked with the help of a conjunction but. Sometimes a coordinating conjunction can also join two adjectives. So here you have an example. She was tired but happy. So you have tired and happy, which are two adjectives, being joined with the help of a conjunction but. Other than words, coordinating conjunctions can also join phrases. So that takes us to the next question. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of two or more words which can stand together as a single grammatical unit, typically as a part of a clause or a sentence. Because a phrase doesn't have a subject or a verb, it can never convey a complete thought. As I told you, a phrase will be a part of a sentence or a clause. So here you have an example. She likes walking at the beach or by the lake. Can you identify the two phrases here? You have at the beach, which is a phrase, and by the lake, which is another phrase, being joined with the help of a conjunction or. Now it's time for a quick recap. You know that there are 7 coordinating conjunctions. Which are they? Don't forget a fanboys. You have for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So these are the 7 coordinating conjunctions which help you to join words and phrases. But these same conjunctions help us to join independent clauses also. Wait a minute, what did I say? I said clause. So you need to know what a clause is. A clause is a group of words which contains at least a subject and a verb. There are two kinds of clauses. Some are dependent and some are independent. If it's an independent clause, that means it can stand on its own as a complete sentence. So now you know that these coordinating conjunctions can help us to join two independent clauses. I'll give you an example. When I say, I will bring candles, she will bring flowers, you have two independent clauses which can stand on their own. And I'm joining them using the conjunction and. I put them together by saying, I'll bring candles and she will bring flowers. The same thing happens when I say, Jane made a cake and Kelly made some cookies. Two independent clauses joined together with the help of and. When a coordinating conjunction is used to join two independent clauses, a comma is placed before the conjunction. In the sentence, the weather was not very cold, but Neil stayed at home. You can see that the conjunction used is but, and a comma is placed before that. On the other hand, if a coordinating conjunction is used to join two independent clauses which are short and well balanced, the comma is not essential. For example, in the sentence, she is kind, so she helps people, you can see that the two independent clauses, she is kind, she helps people, are short and well balanced. Hence, we haven't used a comma. Now let's move on to the second type of conjunctions called correlative conjunctions. Unlike coordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions come in pairs and hence they are called paired conjunctions. These are used to join grammatically equal elements or alternatives in a sentence. The most common correlative conjunctions are both and, either or, neither nor, not only but also, and so on. In most cases, a comma is not placed between the two elements when we use correlative conjunctions. We should be very careful when using correlative conjunctions. When we use such a conjunction to join two elements, both of them should have the same grammatical form. For instance, in the sentence, Ben is either doing his research or working out at the gym, you can see that the correlative conjunction being used is either or. And the two elements which are put together are doing his research and working out at the gym. They have the same parallel structure because both the verbs are in the ing form. Hence, the sentence is grammatically correct. On the other hand, if I say Ben is either doing his research or works out at the gym, the sentence is wrong because both the elements don't have the same parallel structure. One verb is in the ing form whereas the other is not. Here are some sentences using correlative conjunctions. Let's begin with both and. Here is the first pair of sentences. I like apples, I like oranges. And you join them using both and we have the sentence, I like both apples and oranges. The next pair goes like this. Chris is my friend, Ada is my friend. Here you can notice that in both the sentences, the subject is singular, so the verb is also singular. That's why we are using is. But when you join them using both and, you have the sentence, both Chris and Ada are my friends. That's because when two subjects are put together using both, we have to use a verb which is also plural. Now moving on to another correlative conjunction called not only but also. And here we have a pair of sentences. He is rich, he is famous. You can see that in both the sentences, the subject and the verb are the same. And we are going to join them by introducing not only but also just before the part of the sentences which are different. Thus we have, he is not only rich but also famous. The same thing happens in the next pair of sentences. She writes quickly. She writes neatly. Here again, the subject and the verb are the same in both the sentences. So we are going to insert not only but also just before that part of the sentences which are different. So we have she writes not only quickly but also neatly. The next in the line is either or. We use either or to connect two choices or alternatives. Let's consider the example. We may go for a walk, we may stay at home. When we join them using either or, we have the sentence, we may either go for a walk or stay at home. On the contrary, we have neither nor. It is just the opposite of either or. It has a negative sense and it is used to say that two or more things are not true or that they didn't happen. We have some examples here. Sana is not tall. Her sister is not tall. You might have noticed that both the sentences are in the negative. So when we join them using neither nor, we are going to remove the negative word which is not. So we have neither Sana nor her sister is tall. Another pair of sentences is the teacher was not in the class. The students were not in the class. Again, both the sentences are in the negative. We have not in both the sentences. But you can see that in the first sentence, teacher is singular. So the verb is singular. Teacher is not in the class. But in the second sentence, you have students. It's plural. So we have the verb also plural. Students were not in the class. When I join them using neither nor, we have neither the teacher nor the students were in the class. I have to use a plural verb here because it is students which is next to the verb, and you know that students is plural. Now let's take up the third type of conjunctions called subordinating conjunctions. These conjunctions join dependent and independent clauses. In fact, subordinating conjunctions are used to introduce dependent clauses. Some examples for these conjunctions are because, if, although, since, and so on. You already know that a clause is a group of words which contains a subject and a noun. And you also know that some clauses are dependent while some are independent. If it's an independent clause, it can stand on its own. On the other hand, if it's a dependent clause, it means that it cannot convey a complete thought. Now, I'll explain this with the help of an example. The child cried. You can see that it's a very short clause, but it has a subject and a verb, and it makes complete sense. So, although it's very short, it is an independent clause. You can even call it a sentence. But now I'm going to add a conjunction to it. And now you read it as because the child cried. Once I added this conjunction here, it's no more an independent clause. It has become a dependent clause because it doesn't make any complete sense. Now, if it should make sense, it is to be attached to another independent clause. So here you have, because the baby cried, I woke up. Now that makes sense again. Here I'm giving you some more examples to prove that dependent clauses cannot stand on their own. So in the first pair of clauses you have, because she worked hard, full stop, she got high grades. You can see that it doesn't make any sense because the first one is a dependent clause and it has been detached from the independent clause. But in the second example, that's exactly what I've done. I've put them together. I've joined them with the help of a comma, and the sentence goes like this. Because she worked hard, comma, she got high grades. That makes sense now. The same sentence can be rewritten in a different way, and that's what you have in the third example. She got high grades because she worked hard. So you can begin a sentence with a dependent clause or an independent clause, that's fine. But a dependent clause cannot stand on its own. There are two ways to structure a sentence using a subordinate conjunction. The first one is, you begin the sentence with a main clause that will be followed by a subordinate clause. So you have, he couldn't sleep although he was tired. The next way is, you begin the sentence with a subordinate clause, you place a comma, and then it will be followed by the main clause. So you have, although he was tired, he couldn't sleep. But don't forget the comma in between. The most common subordinating conjunctions are because, since, as, although, though, while, and so on. Sometimes adverbs such as until, before, and after can function as subordinating conjunctions. For example, we have, we stayed indoors until the rain stopped. So many of us were taught in school that beginning a sentence with a conjunction was an error. But in fact, it's a myth. You can very well begin a sentence with a subordinating conjunction. For example, it's totally right to say, although it was cloudy, it didn't rain. And it's perfectly alright to begin a sentence with a coordinating conjunction. And here you have an example, and then came the good news. So, if used sparingly, it's a good way to add emphasis. And it also helps to add to the style of your writing. As usual, it's time for tips. And here is tip number 1 for you. We use only one conjunction to connect two clauses. So it is correct to say, she is kind, so everybody likes her. And it's incorrect to say, because she is kind, so everybody likes her. Do make sure that the phrases joined by conjunctions are parallel. It is right to say, I work quickly and carefully, but you cannot say, I work quickly and careful. When using correlative conjunctions like not only but also and neither nor, the auxiliary verb goes before the subject. So we can say, neither has she called nor has she written a letter, not neither she has called nor she has written a letter. Tip number 4, avoid using sentence fragments. It's right to say, because I wanted to buy bread, I went to the store. But if you say, because I wanted to buy bread, period, I went to the store, it's wrong. Here is tip number 5, last but not the least. The conjunction unless means if not, so it will be incorrect to introduce a second not in the sentence. Thus, it's right to say, unless you work hard, you won't pass. But it doesn't make any sense when you say, unless you don't work hard, you won't pass. I hope you enjoyed this session and that you found it beneficial. If so, please do like and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next session. Goodbye until then. Take care and stay safe.